Welcome to the ZenRUN Podcast. I am so glad you're here. Each week we dive into the real, raw and often unexpected journeys of everyday runners. Because every runner has a story and every story has the power to inspire. If you've got a running story of your own, whether you're just lacing up for the first time or you're deep into your ultra journey, I'd love to hear it. Sharing your experience might be just the thing that someone else needs to get out the door. And hey, if you're looking for a bit of motivation or just want to keep your running fun and stress-free, check out ZenRUN. It's a relaxed space with guided runs, simple training plans, and monthly challenges to help you stay consistent without the pressure. All right, let's jump into this week's story. It's a good one. Today we're chatting with the absolutely wonderful Kat Booth. Many of you will know Kat as one of the amazing medics at Delirious, and quite possibly as the person who has rescued your feet when they had completely fallen apart. But Kat's story goes much deeper than blisters and toes. Kat is a nurse, a wound care lover, a traveller, a trail runner, an artist, an adventurer, and one of those people who seems to have collected about 400 different life stories. She's worked in hospitals, taught nursing, chased chickens, delivered plants, darned flamingo socks, met Kevin Costner, surfed in Bali, and been stalked by a cougar. She has also rebuilt her life after surviving a violent relationship and sustaining a traumatic brain injury, which meant she had to relearn how to walk, write, and speak. Running and the trail community became an incredible, important part of her recovery. The conversation is funny, honest, inspiring, and occasionally completely ridiculous. We talk about brains, feet, running without a watch, finding joy in tiny moments, and why Kat believes sometimes you should forget the pace and simply head out for an adventure. Let's get into my conversation with the fabulous Kat Booth. Today on the ZenRUN Podcast, I am over the moon excited to finally get to chat with Kat Booth. Hello, Kat.
Hi, how you going, Michelle?
I really am excited. Like we've already spoken for an hour, but which I knew would happen. So sorry, everyone, you're going to miss out on that bit. It's all right though. You'll be fine. Kat, for anyone who doesn't know, Kat is the wonderful medic in Delirious that everybody raves about. She just said she's known for toes, but it's the only time she's known for toes is during the Delirious event. She really is a massive personality and a massive part of that event these days. And I wanted to get her on because she's also got a massive personality and we all love her so much that I really wanted to find out more about her. So it's totally because I'm so curious that she's here.
I'm glad you're curious. I'm happy to do this podcast, Michelle.
This is much better than me sitting there going, I feel shit, Kat. Tell me why I feel shit, and getting to know you in that way. I'd rather get to know you here where I don't feel shit. So
and why you're in Noosa.
That's right, and I'm in sunny Noosa, trying to stop my glasses from fogging up. Anyway, and you look cold and you're sitting in a cafe in Perth.
I know. I'm got layers and layers on, but I'm down near the Scarborough Beach, but I'm in the Dome Cafe, so that's where I start my morning to talk to you.
I think it's perfect. Thank you.
It's perfect, yes. I didn't want to wake my mum up from bed. I'm like, nah, I can't do what I did there. I need to leave the house.
Because you'll be like laughing.
Too much laughing and chatting going on such early in the morning for her.
All right, let's get it started. I want to find out where did Kat grow up and what was your childhood like?
Okay, so where I grew up was right here in WA, in Melbourne. Went to Melbourne Primary, Melbourne High, and my parents were together till I was 14.
Yep.
And then they split, and then I was in a Holmes West house with my mum for a little bit, and I've got a sister who I'm very close to, who's 18 months. We were actually, so fun fact, as my mum told me, so she actually got told she had twins,
Oh.
And then my sister popped out and I stayed in. I'm like, no, I've got to have my own separate date. And 18 months later, I'm not coming out, wasn't ready. And then because the funny thing about that was like, so she didn't get told she had to. So she had my sister, but then no funny business happened between her and my dad. And then she was told that she was pregnant again.
Oh, miraculous conception.
I must have been hiding in the breeze and went, no, I'm not coming out yet. And she said, and I came out via the hood, because my sister took 14 hours. So my mum was like, no. And I decided I wanted to come out feet first. And my mum always says to me, Catherine, can you at least just stay in one position? I said, I can put my shoes there, but I can't guarantee I'm in them. And she's like, I know that would happen. So I said, well, I came out feet first. So, that's the way that she set me up for life, basically.
Good on her. Well done to your mum.
I'm born and bred in WA, but I have travelled the world. So I have left the place. I do have a few friends that just get stuck in their own vortex and they don't leave their suburb until they hop in the car with me and then they freak out. I'm like, I will take you home. It's okay. I will take you home.
It is funny. Some people are explorers and some aren't. That's all right.
Yeah. But this is my home. I love it, but I do love travelling and stuff, yeah. So.
Tell me about sport at school. Tell me about your
sport at school. I was always into running, always into long distance cross country. My dad was my dad worked for CBH, the grain handling place, but he also was a superb cricket coach and a bowling coach. So he actually got one of the Pakistan cricket players. Can't remember his name, but he got sent over to see my dad and Dennis Lilly because he was a chucker. And my dad was a spin bowler. And so him and Dennis Lilly basically re-taught him how to bowl the ball properly.
Wow.
And, he was a level 3 coach. And so he was big into sport. And then he eventually he was asked to go over to England for the last 14 years of his life and coached at the Durham County Boys and stuff. And so he used to then take me down the oval and he used to coach me for my cross country. And, and then I always did that. Was always into sport, played netball for a long time in the centre and wing attack, was always active. So always running was always there all the time, yeah.
So you enjoyed it. Can you remember what you liked about it?
I was crap at sprinting. I was shit at sprinting. And so I always just enjoyed the long distances. So it always takes me about 900 metres to a kilometre to really get into it. Like it is like that's the hardest part of any run for me. And then my body just goes, oh, here we are. And off I go. Yeah. And off I go.
Is your sister a runner too?
Oh, no. So there's a photo of her like.
Not similar in the twin.
So she's like the daintiest. So there's this photo of me and her that my mum still got where we're having a running race and she like prances like a ballerina, like through, like she's got the most gorgeous legs on. She just prances, la la la, and she still does it now. But she took up playing lacrosse at the age of 49 last year. Lacrosse, like it's a hard game, and she knows how to run now, but she still struggles with it. But she still runs like that, prancing, like beautiful, like ballerina. But she actually, so short burst she's okay with. Short burst. But she's definitely not a runner. No.
All right. Tell me, what was school like academically like for you, for Kat?
So maths was hard. Dad like really drummed it into us with our mathematics. So we always got 100% at multiplication. Like that was just a given.
Yeah.
And division was terrible, like, because I didn't understand there was an invisible zero in long division. And he's like, why can't you see the zero? I said, because it's not on the paper. And he goes, it's not meant to be. And I'm like, well, I don't get it. So, but art and health, I wasn't actually interested in science. And funny enough, and then I became a nurse and then I got older and then I got really interested in science. And so, yeah, so sport, I love doing like woodwork and metalwork and all that kind of stuff as well, and art, and English was okay, but I just love being outdoors stuff. But I did, like I was I was in the middle, like with stuff. And then when I went into nursing, like I had to be one of those students that had to study. I had to study. Like, you know, we had students who just didn't have to study. They just got it. And I had to really put in the time and the effort to study it. And then much later in life, like I just really started understanding physics, and I never understood physics. And then I understood algebra. And I'm like, what the heck? What happened there? Like one day I just understood the X and the Y. And I don't have, and then I understood like the physics and the, you know, the periodic table of elements.
And how the world works.
Like, I don't know where that, and how the world works, yeah. Maybe that comes with age, I don't know. But it came one day, just popped on in.
You had a download.
Like I definitely had a massive download of different stuff. And then I understood math and numbers all of a sudden. So, yeah.
It's probably all that pre-work that you did. You know, because we can all probably remember a time when we really didn't understand something and then suddenly we did, and it was like, but maybe it's all the pre-work you did, and it would all just kind of slotted into place somehow. Yeah,
and then because there was a period in my life where something happened to me, and then that's when these things like my brain actually did change. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I understand physics. And I'm like, okay, it's true that the brain can then open up and be different and come alive in some way, and you start learning different things. So, and that then led me down the path of like just reading books about, you know, neurology and stuff like that in the brain.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's
I
fascinating.
became fascinated with my own brain.
Because before we got on, before we hit record, you know, one of the things we were talking about is just how much we don't know really about the body. So it's because it's such a fascinating thing, you know, and the brain is even more of a mystery from science.
And it definitely is fascinating. And like, you know, being given like I don't know whether I call it a bit of a blessing, I call it a curse, and so does my chiropractor. Like over time, I have actually learnt to really know what listening to your body means, what it is communicating, because it's communicating to us all the time, and it's about whether you choose to tap into it or whether you don't. And he said, you're one of the very few, Kath, that I can go to him. I'm like, this is the thing going on. He goes, yep. And I'm like, I think sometimes that's a curse, because then eventually I started to really worry about it.
Yeah.
He goes, use it as like, that's really cool that you know that. And then you know what you can go do. So once I got that figured out in my head, I'm like, okay, that's what it is. I just need to go see the chiro. So if I was ever like a billionaire, I wouldn't have a butler. I'd have a chiro and a few other people, because I'd do my own cooking. But I'd have them as my people that could call on in my presidential house.
And they could keep you moving.
They keep me moving. So I only need him for 5% that I can't do. I need him for my maintenance for the rest of my life, for my second innings and a few other things.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. You left school, and of course I introduced you basically as a medic on Delirious, and you know, you've already said that you're a nurse, but so where did you go study nursing and all of that? Tell me.
Okay. So basically, I ended up like down in Bunbury. Yes. And I lived on the TAFE complex, and I did that because me and my sister had a fight. We laugh about it now. I had a fight because I liked this boy, and anyway, she ended up kissing him, and I chucked the puppies. And so I decided, bugger this, I'm going to apply to go move away without telling my parents. And then my mum goes, oh, why are they sending you down there? I said, I don't know. I have no idea why they're sending me down there, until I told her 2 years later that I applied because me and my sister had a fight about a boy. And that's how I ended up in Bunbury, and it was the best thing I'd ever done. Yeah. So I lived on the TAFE campus and with 40 other people.
Yes.
And then because I thought, I don't need to study, so I ended up failing. TAFE was much harder then. I had 2 nursing lecturers who were like, you could not stuff around in there. But I'm glad that what happened to me. So I sat my first haematology exam, and I failed miserably. And they basically pulled me in the office, and they said, you're out of nursing school. You're going home. Like, there was no second opportunity, not like there is now. There was no second opportunity. And I was like, oh, crap. This is, and they said, go away and go and work in an aged care facility.
Yeah.
And then you'll really know whether you want to be a nurse, because right now you're showing us that you don't take this seriously. So I was out. So I went home and I went and worked in a nursing home. And then they said, then you can ring us back up and you can reapply and we'll decide whether we let you back in the next year. So I rang them up and they said, yep, you can come back. And then I worked my butt off. And then I remember like the exam that I miserably failed, I then worked really hard, studied hard. I got like 85%. And the lecturer rang me on the weekend to tell me my result. And she just said, now I know that you really want to be a nurse. And that's where it took off. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting. When you
out of nursing school.
no, and now you're such an awesome nurse, and you obviously like you embody it, you love it, it's your thing.
Yeah.
When you were studying, were you still doing any kind of sport at that point?
No, so I had to give up the netball while I was down there.
Yeah.
But I did. I just kept active anyway. I just kept myself active. So yeah.
So you didn't.
Yeah. But I never went on long runs or anything like that. Never went on these long runs or anything until I came across Ultra Series and went, what the heck are these loonies doing?
Oh, we'll get to that soon.
And look where it's landed me.
On a podcast. Heaven forbid, Kat. It's crazy. All right. So young Kat manages to get through nursing TAFE school after a little bit of a rocky start.
Yep.
Where did it take you after that? When you finished, what did you do? Where'd you go?
So basically then like grad programs, like they're hard to get into now, but they were very hard to get into. So 1999 I graduated and I applied for Fremantle Hospital, which was one of the top teaching hospitals amongst Royal Perth, and I got a place. There was only 12 places and I got a place.
Good job.
And that's where it all started, and I started in orthopedics. Yeah. And then I just loved being in a surgical environment. Also then did a stint in the locked mental health, Elmer Street, in the locked ward. And I watched when they did the ECT back then, the zapping of the brain and stuff, so I always had a bit of an interest in mental health, but I wasn't where I wanted to, my love was. And so then I went back to orthopedics, and then I eventually got moved over from 7 South to 7 North, which was then plastics, skin grafting, gynae, urology, plastics. And I loved that. And that's where then my love of wound care became a real love.
Wound care?
Yes. Yes, and it just became, I was fascinated in they taught me how to, like when skin was freshly laid, how to then roll that while it was still just on there until it took and everything like that. And I just had this fascination about, the healing process and how different products worked and stuff. And then that took me on to then Hollywood private hospital. So I was lucky enough to still have some of those veterans, the war veterans, be the patients in there at Hollywood Hospital. Yeah. And there are lots of leg amputations and stuff. Some of them were from the Vietnam War. Amputations. And we always had one come back in, and he was a devil. He'd come back in, and because he wouldn't stop smoking, and anything like that. He had fought in the Vietnam War. And I'm like, you've lost your toes. He goes, yeah, well, I'll put him back next year and I'll lose my foot. And that's where it went on until eventually he was a bilateral amputee, above knee amputee. But and the funniest thing, I remember showering him one day, and he goes, when I was at the Vietnam War, us boys did silly tattoos on ourselves. And he goes, so one of the boys actually tattooed 2 eyes on his bottom, on each cheek. So he said they're down below. So he goes, they've got droopy eyelids now. You couldn't see the eyes that were on his bottom originally when he had the perky one. And so he had these eyes, and 2 of the boys had tattooed that on his bottom when he was in the Vietnam War, when he was sleeping, these 2 eyes.
So funny.
And so he came in that was a general surge vascular ward. So then I had a beautiful clinical nurse manager who was so into wounds that she then took me under her wing, and she taught me even more about vacuum dressings, and that's where even more of the love came from it. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't. They put me in medical for like a couple of shifts, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Didn't like dealing with boogies and stuff like that. No. Send me back to wounds and gauze.
I want blood and bones.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's where that all, and then it's always been like that. And then I went on to educating students out in the hospitals, then on to working at TAFE as a lecturer, and then eventually became head of programs for health, fitness and beauty. And that's where, yeah.
Head of programs for health, fitness and beauty.
Yeah, so I'm a female, but I had no idea about shellac nail polishes and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know what the hell I was ordering, and I'm like, why does it cost this much money? Give me a medical product list any day, but I don't know anything about this stuff. But, you know, so what they used to do, they used to be like the guinea pig if some of the students, people didn't like rock up for their assessment. So I'd go in there and they give me facials and stuff like that because I'd be like the guinea pig. But then one day they said, "Oh, Kath, we really need to ask you a favour." I said, "What?" And they said, "Someone hasn't turned up and they need to have a bikini wax." I said, "Oh, I don't know if I Brazil." I said, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do that." And they said, "There's no one else." So I, basically did my good deed for the students so they could get their assessment. And then they gave me a nice facial and microdermabrasion after that. So, I went above and beyond my duties of head of programs. Yes, I learned how to massage and everything else there as well while I was there from being head of programs and the beauty people. So, yeah, done lots of things.
That's crazy. What age are we up to?
So I'm 47. I'm 47. Yeah. I've been nursing for 24 years.
When you were doing where are you now, work-wise? Where do you work?
Well, basically, this is my third week. I've just got a job in Silver Chain as a community nurse for the first time as a wound care nurse. It's perfect. My perfect dream job.
A wound care nurse?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to be a community nurse, and that's totally different from any other nursing I've ever done. So I'll be out on the road, going into people's homes, doing their dressings, escalating anything. So this is my third week. This is going to be this is a dream job for me, like dealing with wounds. And I'm very excited, as you can probably hear. I'm super excited.
You always seem excited to me, so that's not surprising.
I'm just excited about the work, but for the nursing job in what I call my second innings, this is good. This is going to be so good. It's where I probably can see myself being for the rest of my professional career.
So You're 3 weeks in and it's your forever job.
Yep. I'm super. It makes me smile getting up in the morning to have this purpose again. So, and then something like going back to the ward was I couldn't do it. It's so different now. You just bog down with paperwork and stuff. You don't get to do the patient care. And that's mostly what I like doing, dealing with the patients and seeing good outcomes and, all that kind of stuff. And wounds, I'm going to have a card given to me, and the boot's going to be full of all these fantastic products. It's going to be in my treatment room. Wow. I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
Are you sure you shouldn't have joined some kind of I feel like you belong in a triage tent, when I want to say wars and places like that, where the people are coming in and they're all messed up because of what's going on.
And I mean, and with being with Ultra Series and being, asked to be on the medic team, that stuff has taught me an amazing amount of stuff, because you're triaging and critically thinking by yourself most of the time. You got people to bounce off, but on the go. When I got the call from I got asked by Shannon, Scotty had rang and said, "Kath, there's this toe," which was Nikki's toe. None of us said, "Nah, we're not going. You're going." And they're because I'm like, okay. And I was in my pajamas at the time. I'm just walking around in my pat pajamas at Parry's, and I was just like, "Oh, I better get out of my pajamas." And they said, and I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Right, we'll tell Scotty that you're coming." So then I hopped in, and then I started triaging on the way. And then Scotty rang me and I said, I'm not too far off. And he goes, oh, have you seen the picture? And I said, yep, don't worry, I've already been thinking about the last 15 minutes about what I'm going to do with Nikki's toe. And so we do that. And then, like, you know, and then I remember hopping out of the car, which is the lady, and she's like, excuse me, you're the lady with the chuck swipe, because I've got a bottom that is like got some severe chafing. So I'm like, yeah, here's the chuck swipe. Just take that. I need to go see a toe that's like declubbed. I'll deal with that other bit afterwards. But I was triaging all the way, and that stuff, being with Ultra Series, has taught me, because that's what happens out in the community. That's what's kind of like geared me up to go, actually, I really love being on the road kind of stuff, and it could eventually maybe take me remote nursing if I ever wanted to. Like, I'd be quite happy with that. I wouldn't be too stressed about it.
Because it's almost like that emergency, people who work in emergency departments, isn't it? You don't know what's going to come through the door. You just have to be prepared.
No. Yeah, and then, like, learning about, like, the rhabdo that happens, like, over time, we've learned what that is. But you can only go by, like, they're not actual symptoms that show up right in front of you. You've got to ask questions and stuff, and then you're taking a bit of a guess. But when someone's unwell, and when that could turn very quickly into renal failure for someone really quickly. So, and you don't have all your tools out there. Yes, I've got my foot stuff and we've got fabulous kits now, but you only have what you've got, Yeah.
And you've got to know how to use it properly as well.
I love it. Yeah. Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Because
you've got to know how to use it. we know with Mr. Frost's lovely boy cake.
We only had a conversation last night, actually, because Nikki's looking to get her brothers to come and be her crew next year, or one of her brothers perhaps. So
you say that I'm looking at her feet before she races anyway. I'm going to pre-tape them.
Yay.
I'm going to look after her feet.
And Simon said, what? She really doesn't want me anywhere near. And I'm like, no, Danny, I don't think she wants you anywhere near her feet.
She still loves you. Still fine. You're still great. You're still great. It's just a joke.
It is. It's kind of funny. Anyway, we'll see. She's pretty keen and excited to come back. So, and she was very appreciative of the care that she received from you guys, especially you and Scott, and Charles was pretty good at that
Charles
that station.
Was fabulous. He was fabulous. Yeah.
All right. So we've kind of got a little potted version. Is there anything else in your work background that you wanted to fill in? Any gaps of what we've talked about, or you?
Well, I mean, for a little bit of a period of time when I had to have a gap in my basically my whole life due to an incident that happened to me, I basically then didn't know whether I could, what my work capacity was.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was too stressful for me to go and then try and work with an employer, and I didn't know what each day was going to be like. So I basically worked for myself as an air tasker person. And have you heard of air tasker?
I have, yes.
Yeah, so basically I go on there, and then I knew that if I dropped the price by $5, I'd probably get in, right? And I did. And that's where it started. My first job I ended up was basically going to a guy's place to pack up his mum's library of books, and there was a library of books, right? There were so many books. And then from there he said, look, do you want to just work for me privately to help pack up my mum's house and empty out this big storage stuff that had all this golfing equipment? And I just got into golfing. I'm like, oh God, can I have these brand new golf balls? He goes, yes, please. Yeah, you can have them. I'm like, sweet, that's good. And then I ended up basically helping get that house ready for sale. So it's totally not nursing. And I had to go, and she said, oh, my chicken's flown away. And I was like, what? So I rocked up to this house, and I said, your chicken? She goes, can you go down the street and find the anaconda? And I'm thinking, is that a snake?
It's a snake.
I didn't realise it was a bird. I didn't realise there was a type of chook that was an anaconda chook. But these things fly. And so I'm in Gosnells chasing this bird down the street. And I nearly got it, and then it flew back home. And I was just like, I'm not paid to go chase chooks, flying chickens. And then she goes, it's all right, it's come home now. I was like, wow. And so I was there for 6 weeks and got a house up for sale, moved this lady into another house and like dug up rose bushes and stuff. And then that led on to then me delivering plants. So for this guy, for his shop in the city for about 6 months. So I'd go like maybe every 3 weeks and I'd go like pick up 250 plants. And it was like a game of plant Tetris. I had to put in the van and all these beautiful plants. And then I was learning a new language. I thought medical terminology was hard, but learning plant language was even worse. And so I'd do a roll call in there and like of all the plants, not that they talked to me, but made it fun. And then I'd go and deliver them to the shop. So I worked for him like over 2 years and then helping him do up new shop fronts and all this kind of stuff in his stores and that.
Wow.
And just a whole range of other like air tasker jobs. And I think from like being invited to like private functions and then did live grazing boards with the trails in mind that I ran. So I used to design live grazing boards with all this food that people would give me, like cheeses and stuff and dehydrated oranges and that and nuts. And so I would create it with a trail that I just ran and create these boards and have people watching me create these boards.
Kathy, that's just, I'm like...
This is why you were interviewing me, because then you find all these little niche things that haven't been
You've done so many
it's like
very interesting things.
And then and I think the funniest one, but my mum took this job because I said, oh, Mum, this guy wants to pay me $180 to darn his socks that have got holes in them. And she goes, why doesn't he go? And I said, I don't know. So anyway, this guy goes, right, I'll leave you a bag of my socks in the letterbox. It's like, go pick up this bag.
That's rude. There's something kind of weird about it.
I picked up this bag of socks. I said, Mum, I can't darn the socks, but if you darn them, I'll go halves with you. And she says, sweet, no worries. So she picked up this bag of socks, right? And took them home. And they were fascinating socks. So then it got me thinking, I wonder who this person is. Like, what's this character of this person, right? And so there was like big long socks, like knee-high socks with like flamingos on them, pineapples and rainbows and stuff. And I'm thinking, Anyway, Mum darned these socks, right? And the fact was these socks were expensive and he loved them and he just wanted one more go at them and then he would buy new ones, right? So anyway, then he goes, then just drop them back off in the letterbox and I'll pay you the $180. So I've dropped them in there and then I've reversed out and then I see this big burly bloke coming up behind the car in like full army gear. And I was thinking, and he's like waving me down. I'm thinking, what? Anyway, that was the guy with the socks, big, massive, burly bloke. And I'm like, God, I thought something totally different. Like, no, he wears these pink flamingo socks. He goes, thank you so much. I just love these. Thank you so much for darning my socks. I was like, okay, here's $180. So I went home and gave Mum 90 and I kept 90.
You'd think for $180 he just could have bought a whole bunch, but I suppose we don't want to encourage people to throw out.
He goes, next time, I know I'll buy myself new socks. He goes, I just couldn't get rid of, thank you so much for darning them.
So crazy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I just did not imagine him wearing these big, massive, knee-high flamingo socks. But,
oh, my God.
Well, there you go. Whatever makes you happy. Maybe that's how he gets through all the crap stuff that he goes through. He's got those socks on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like, people do happy socks or whatever. Like,
yeah, but I just thought, God, this is like a big bloke, and he was so thankful that his socks got done.
So how long did you do that crazy because in itself it's not just... It's lots of different things. I did it for about 2 years. Yeah, I did it for 2 years and then I ended up refurbishing a guy's house in Fremantle, building flat pack furniture, designing homes and stuff. Yeah.
And basically made a good friend out of that. and then I also got asked, which I thought, well, someone set me up here. I also got asked to go to this guy's house, who's now a mate, to help him find his passport for $200. And I was like, he couldn't find it. And so he said, if you can find it, I'll be much appreciated. I'm like, okay. So I said, I want the $200 up front because this feels a bit weird. So he said, yeah, no problem. And anyway, then I found his English passport, his birth extract. Couldn't find the Australian one, but that was okay. He had his English one, and then found his Australian citizenship certificate. And then we became mates from then, and then I ended up refurbishing his house and building furniture for him. But that was like $200 just to find someone's passport, which was in 2 pairs of socks. Like,
what? There's a theme here. There's definitely a
socks, done,
and feet, and I don't want to bring it up again, but and feet.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely a theme here, Kat. I know you say you're only the foot person during Delirious, but I think it might have started before Delirious.
You're right. Thank you for giving me this session, so then I've realised feet have always been in my life.
Yeah, always been in your life. Other people's feet, that is, because I'm pretty sure yours have been there the whole time.
Mine have been there, but sometimes I fight with them. I don't like them sometimes. So basically from there, I worked for myself, and then I eventually went, right, I can at least do, and over the 3 years, I knew I could do at least 4 to 5 days of work.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was because I'd had a gap in my nursing practice. I kept my registration up. But then it came down to, right, now you're going to have to go and do a refresher course.
Mm.
And but then they wouldn't let me do the refresher course. They said, no, we just need you to go and do 450 hours of paid prac. But you got to go find it yourself, and that's super, super hard to do.
Yeah.
So I spent 3 years doing this, paying money to the board. It was one of the hardest processes I ever had to go through.
How long ago was that?
And now I've landed. Hey?
Oh, so that's only recent, like in the last decade. You do that, yeah?
In the last 3 years. So basically last year, I was and then I wasn't going to let something that was my profession be taken away for no reason. So I fought hard for it, and now I am where I am. And so, but yes, I did the air tasker stuff. Did that. That's some pretty fascinating stuff, and then that was totally unnursing related.
So it's kind of, to me, it sounds like your gap years, not year, but years, where kids go to have a gap year. It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
We went off and had a little.
It definitely was.
Doing other things.
Yeah. And just because something happened in my life that was so significant, where I had to basically, what happened to me and was basically I was in a very violent relationship, and I ended up with a acquired traumatic brain injury, and I basically had the same symptoms of having a stroke. So I had to learn how to write, talk, walk again. And that's where my brain decided it would all of a sudden understand physics. And I'm like, well, don't recommend a knock on the head to get to that point, but that's exactly my whole brain. There's a 2-year period where I can't remember anything, which was my recovery period. I cannot remember anything. It is blank.
Wow.
And as my doctor said, he goes, Kath, it's probably a good thing you don't.
Yeah.
But there is a part of me where sometimes it tries to find those 2 years, and I only get bits like my mum and my sister can tell me, and that's where I find all these books and where I had to learn to write again. And my writing was like a 1-year-old. And so there's a 2-year period of where it's complete. I know I was here, but there's absolutely nothing.
How old were you?
And so
then?
that's what then I was 39.
Thought you were going to say you can't remember.
So the year I turned, no, I remember the day.
Yeah.
And so the year I was turning 40, and that's when I discovered, I'm like, oh, hang on. There's only when you're 40, you've already been around for 2,000 weeks.
Stop
2,000 weeks. So we only so when you're 80, it's 4,000 weeks. So when you turn it into weeks, being 80 years to 4,000 weeks is like, hang on, geez, that's actually not a lot. Made me really change my perspective.
I know.
On about if you think of when you turn 40 is only 2,000 weeks, that's not a lot of time.
No.
So it changes your perspective on how you should use your time.
Yes, don't waste that, right?
Yeah, so when you turn it into weeks, not years. Yeah. So I was at the halfway point, And then basically that was took me out of life and everything for about a good 5 years. Yeah.
So how did you come out of that? Like, do you remember
Well,
when life started to
I
feel a bit
didn't.
more
Sorry,
normal? That's normal.
Probably not until 2020, 2021.
Okay.
And that's when I discovered Ultra Series, and because I was a very social person before then. I was too afraid to go out into the community. For 18 months I hadn't gone out, and then I decided, I'll stick myself on a train. And then I realised I didn't know that Elizabeth Keys had been built, and I was like, what the heck? I've been living here all my life. What is this place? Because I hadn't been out for 18 months. And I was just like, it was like Alice in Wonderland had just popped out of the rabbit hole, and I was in a brand new place. And I just remember saying to my sister, I said, the clouds just seem so much more fluffier than what they used to be, because my brain had changed. My brain had changed dramatically. I was a very, very different person, and my brain had been that injured that it had changed differently. And then I started like rattling off the periodic table of contents. I was like, what the heck? And then I was understanding maths, and then my artwork became so completely different. I was a ceramic artist beforehand, and I'd forgotten how to cook completely. Couldn't over 3 years, I couldn't even try to get myself in the kitchen, and it was just blank. So I had to start from scratch, and then became better at mixing up sauces, and I was shit at doing that beforehand.
That's crazy.
And so my cooking became different. My way of being became different. My mum said I became funnier than what I was. I thought, take that. She said, you're way more funny than what you used to be. I said, oh, thanks.
Is it positive?
Yeah. So she goes, you're really quick now. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for that. And I just, and then my sister said, what are you, she goes, I've seen this thing on Facebook, this light horse thing. Maybe, Kath, just go out there and volunteer and you might meet some really cool people. So I volunteered for the light horse, and that's where I met Sean. And then I'm like, what the fuck are they, excuse my language, what are these people doing? And then I just felt safe there. But that was my first adventure, going out like back into the community and not knowing a single person, and like having had suffered panic attacks for the last 3 years before that. And that's where that began.
That's crazy.
Light horse.
That's amazing.
Volunteering my time. Yeah, not doing medic stuff, just volunteering. Yeah.
Were you running previous, like before, like through this period up to this point, was running a part of what you did to stay fit, or were you doing other things?
No, so like basically then, because I had no rotation in my left leg, and then I ended up with basically no feeling in my left foot, and I had foot drop as well. So then my mum said, oh, there's this park run thing. And I was like, what's that? So I went down there and I started running, and then once I started running, that's when my panic attack started reducing.
Okay.
And that's when I met Sean, Ultra Series, and then I ended up hearing about this trail running, and then I'm like, you know what? Maybe that might be good for me. And so then I went down to the Manning Park Trail Runners, and as you do after you've had a massive brain trauma, you put a head torch on and you run in the dark, on rocks and stuff, because that's just very sensible to do. And I just did it. And then that actually helped with my balance of like basically training my brain and in the dark. And then I'm like, I love this. I really love this. This is cool. I'm not running on the road anymore. That's boring. And so then trail running basically got my park run road running time like reduced from like 33 to 27.5.
Wow.
Because the trail running, like doing the hills and stuff like that, getting better lung capacity and stuff like that.
And stronger as well.
Made it easier, and for me then when I did like footpath running.
That's crazy.
And so, yeah. So that's where that came into.
I love it.
Yes.
So, just to go back a little bit, was the horrible incident, were you with your partner for a long time prior to that? Was it a long time relationship?
Yes. So I had been married before. So I'd been married for 10 years together for 12, and that ended on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. My marriage is on the Eiffel Tower. Right, took me 6 years to look at the
most romantic place in the world.
Yes, so mine was the city of divorce, not the city of love.
Sorry.
And I don't have anything against the Eiffel Tower anymore. I actually got a little ornament in my room with like a little like a little egg timer thing on it, and it looked like the days of our lives. And I occasionally just turn it, I'm like, the days of our lives, and here I am now. And I'm like, you know what? Geez, I've done some pretty wild stuff in this second innings. But also things changed dramatically for me. But I'm like, this is pretty fascinating life actually, and to come out of that and to still come out of it with a zest for life. Yes, I've had some crap days, and I acknowledge that because that's been real, you know. But I'm like,
that's important, really.
Some fascinating stuff, and then when I had a head trauma because I couldn't drive, and then I hadn't ridden a bicycle in like years. So someone gave me a bike, and I just rode 19 kilometres home and without thinking, I can do that, no worries. Chain fell off. I thought, I can fix that. YouTubed it on the way home in the dark, put a chain back together. And I'm like, who does that? Like, I would go, not in case I'm not riding a bike. And I just did these things, and then I just walked miles and miles because I couldn't get any other way around. So I just did these things without thinking, and because when the accident happened, I couldn't get to a hospital until I could get out for 3 months, basically. So I didn't have any care. I just knew I was stuffed. I knew I was in a bad way. And so then basically when my sister could get me to my good doctor, who I've got a beautiful doctor, my recovery just started with my own rehab. So apparently I started getting books out, and then I remember my nephew bought me these like big jumbo pencils that you give to grade ones because I couldn't. And he goes, "This is for you only, Kat, because you've got small hands." That's a beautiful thing to say to me, and because he realised. And so then that's how I learnt to write with these big jumbo pencils. Wow. Right, and I'm like, thank you for those jumbo pencils. And then my artwork became super fun. I started like painting surfboards and skateboards and stuff, and like just being so like sporadic and just having fun with my artwork. And I produced some awesome things, and then started just drawing freehand and stuff. And I never did that before.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is crazy.
It reminds me of, when, I don't know, I've watched movies and things where somebody's had some kind of a really bad knock to their head for some reason, or been unconscious for a long time, and they wake up and they can speak another language, these things that they never could do before. And it's just like, whoa.
Absolutely.
How did that
And the way
happen?
that I learned to speak was I listened to the same 6 CDs in my car over and over till I learned every single song. Like those CDs are scratched to high heavens now. They do not operate, those CDs. They are so scratched. But I did that, and that's how I learned to speak again, because it was like I couldn't find the filing system. And so then my sister would have to give you words, but sometimes she'd be cheeky and she'd give me words that were not, appropriate, and she'd laugh, and I'm like, oh, it stuck me up even more. And so we'd have a bit of a laugh about that. But I would start talking, and then she knew, and my mum knew. They were the only two people that knew. And then and I'm like, I can't find it. It was just so blank in there. But my brain was, as my neurologist explained to me, was like so full at the time, and your brain is a muscle, but because we can't see it, it's hard to comprehend that. So when you can see a broken leg, you're like, I better rest my leg, but your brain is that muscle. And when he said that's when you feel tired, Kath, that's your brain saying it needs rest, and that's because it is a muscle when it has been injured. And I basically, over obviously whatever I was doing in my own recovery, I basically had cleared my brain apart from like 4 little white areas, which was where there was no oxygen to my brain. He said, I've never seen such a remarkable recovery. And when I think about it, say if like I had been able to get to a hospital, would my recovery in a brain ward been totally different, because it would have been so regimented, whereas here I was just going winging it basically at home with my mum.
Yeah.
And and then I thought, well, you know, with my strength and that, I'm like, well, hang on a minute, we were ballroom dancers and stuff. So I got one of my golf clubs and I put that behind my back, and me and my mum, we started doing ballroom dancing and stuff. So then I got my balance back and everything like that. And then I thought, I just want to do a handstand before I'm 40. So then I just thought I can get my strength back up by getting myself into some very odd positions trying to accomplish this, which I did do within 3 months. By the age I was 40, I could do a handstand.
Cat.
Not with toppling over like multiple times in my bedroom, just trying to get my legs up on the wall and stuff.
I don't think I could do a handstand. I did do a cartwheel at 45 or so.
Oh, did you? They're hard to do. They are massively. No. I can't do a cartwheel.
No, I think I did one in my 50s. I have done one in my 50s, but now I worry about I did one about 5 years ago. I worry about my wrists. Yeah, I really should do it again, because once I actually do it, it's like, oh, this is not too bad. It has to be sand or, on the beach or really grassy area. And nobody's around at all.
That's where so that's where I became very intrigued about how the brain works, retraining the brain, about learning about
fascinating.
The music, because I couldn't watch TV anymore for a while because I had seizures and stuff and it was too much. So I haven't owned a TV for 8 years now. Haven't owned a TV. Don't miss it.
Very good for you, I was going to say.
Yeah. And then I became more involved with my music and stuff, and then I learned about different kinds of megahertz, or how that triggers off the brain in relation to anxiety, sleep, all that kind of stuff, because I used to have flashbacks for about 3-4 years straight every night, until I did EMDR, which then basically you surrender to the process of the brain, and it's light bar work, and you basically relive those moments that have been stuck in your long-term memory when your prefrontal cortex of your brain is ignited. And it's like watching a fast forward movie of everything. And also what came to light was all the other events that I had blocked out, but they came and they went very fast. And I said to my sister, did this happen? She's like, yes, Kath, that happened. But it didn't stay with me. And then I haven't had those flashbacks now for 2 years since doing the EMDR.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Pretty powerful, but it was a full-on 6 weeks, 6 weeks. So you do an hour session, and then the next 48 hours was like, oh, your brain took you on a ride that you didn't have any idea where it was going to take you. But, it's like watching it and fast forward through your own eyes, and you talk, and it came out with me talking, but it was just basically me relaying what was happening. But then it went away. It didn't stay with me. So it was just about bringing a lot, making my prefrontal cortex, my short-term memory, busy, and removing it from my long-term memory. They're like sea containers, basically. I thought of them like that way. And then that's what then led me to then the first delirious, where I wasn't a medic, but I went down. It was when it was COVID time. Yeah. And then no one knew my background or anything. And then I remember Natalie Beasley coming. She had this like blister on her toe. I said, I'll have a look at it. And next minute I've got a lineup of people who I didn't still really know wanting toes done. And I think I ravaged every small first aid kit, right, for Fixamol, because I'm like, Fixamol is like the second skin, which I learnt from my plastics and skin grafting days.
Yeah.
And I was like, can't put Band-Aids on this stuff. And then I didn't know these people, and I wasn't allowed into the pub because I didn't have my COVID jab. And I remember David Clarkey, he came over and this man's feet, I was like, are they bruised or are they black or what is it? And he had such bruised feet, this man. And I just then spent probably, an hour and a half. We got him in a chair, put him under cover, and his beautiful partner as well. She's lovely. And then he was fast asleep. And I just did up his feet, and that was the start of it. And then after that, I remember getting a phone call or a message from Sean or something saying, hey, Kath, we were all watching you. And I was totally oblivious to this, and we'd like to know whether you'd like to be part of, on the medic team. And I was like, I'm so honoured to be asked. And then that's where I then learnt from Matty Cook, who came from Adelaide. He was a fantastic head medic. I learnt so much. And then Fixamol became, because then we were basically like, this is a second skin. So people were obviously watching over time, which I had no idea, and then learning how to tape their feet and why you should tape your feet and about blisters and all this stuff. And so then we get more people who we can get over the finish line because we can care for their feet, and it's so important to. And this is where that began. And it was just a beautiful, I just feel very, very honoured and privileged to have been asked. Still to this day.
And, that was 5 or 6 years ago, and now, that is
Yeah.
you're renowned.
I've done 4 Deliriouses now as in the medic team. That's great. So I feel very privileged every single time I get asked. Yeah.
Before we talk about, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what your running kind of looks like and what you would like to do with it. But before we do that, I know you've been to Paris and you said you've travelled a bit, and because I'm a traveller and love travelling, I want to know more about your travel.
Yeah.
Tell me more about some of the travel.
Okay, so travel. So basically, I started off when I was 22. I took off to the UK, didn't stay in the UK long, went to the Oktoberfest, one of the best parties. If you can never go, like if I could go over there every year, I would still go over there now to the Oktoberfest. 10,000 people, no fights. And
you don't like beer, is it better?
Oh, there's other stuff to drink. And you get a whole half a chicken, no knives and forks, just to mung on these chooks, right? So you get a whole half a chicken brought to you by the BMA, and with your leader stein and everything, and you're just dressed up in your outfit. And I remember when I last went there, so I went there when I was 22, and then 13 years later I went back to the same tent, and it was exactly the same.
No.
And Fremantle Dockers had just got into their first grand final stuff. So I got a purple and white outfit and I had my scarf on. And people were coming up and saying, "Can I have a photo with you?" I'm like, "I'm nobody." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're from WA, you've got a scarf on." And I remember watching the grand final in Prague at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was just, and so I went to Germany. Then I went and lived in Canada for 6 months in the Whistler when I was 22. And worked in Subway, and for $8.50
another hour. Job. Sorry, this is another job.
Another job, right? And I remember this Indian man, Ramesh, and he said, right, he goes, "So you're too qualified to be a sandwich artist because you're a nurse." So I said, "Oh, righto, no worries." And he said, "But I'll give you a go." And I remember he my first day, he said, "I'm just going out." He left me in the store and he said, "Just watch the bread." And I'm like, "All right, I'll watch the bread." Didn't tell me to take the bread out of the proofer. So when he came back 2 hours later, 60 loaves of Subway was so proofed all together, that all of them. And he's like, "Oh, my God." I said, "You said watch the bread." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough. I told you." But then I was like, "Oh, that's just the proofer. I meant to take them out." So 60 loaves was totally stuffed. And so I worked there, and I also had to work in a hotel so then I could get a ski pass to go snowboarding. And I met Kevin Costner there.
What? No.
Kevin Costner, yep. Met Kevin Costner. He was a delightful man. And Keith Sutherland was there. But if I could write to the Women's Day, that man had so many ladies going into his gold classroom.
Oh, really?
So I had to clean the grout off his bathroom floor with this little tiny brush on my knees for 2 days.
Gross.
Yeah, and we wore the most disgusting uniform. You wouldn't pick anyone up in this thing. It was navy blue socks up to your knees and these big navy blue clots with these black shoes and this big shirt that was up to here. I looked like a nun, so I wouldn't wear it out. I'd wear it when I got to work because I'm my friends just go, "Oh, my God, that's atrocious." So I lived in there, and then once that season finished, that's when I went for my first unofficial hike with my friend and my boyfriend at the time. And we went and did 75 kilometres on Vancouver on the West Coast Trail.
Oh, beautiful.
Never had hiked ever before. Didn't know I had to have hiking poles. So basically we bought sticks and we carved our sticks along the way. And you had to climb ladders and you had to pull each other across the rivers in gondolas.
Wow.
Otherwise you had to wade through the river if it was okay. And then a big storm came on our last our second last day, so we had to walk 25 Ks instead of 12, and we were stalked by a cougar for 10 Ks of it. And I was like crapping myself. And I remember that we went, well, we just got to stop and eat something. And I had those little triangle cheeses.
Yeah.
So I had 7 of those because we'd be out there for 7 hours. So allowed to have one of those, and we had 2-minute noodles. I remember we were huddled under this thing, and this thing was growling at us. And I was like, oh, shit, maybe this is our time. And anyway, it stalked us 10 Ks. And then we had to, like, walk over a log over this raging river. And then we finally got to the end. And then I just left my hiking boots there along with my stick at the end of the West Coast Trail. But in Tasmania, they have the sister trail to the West Coast Trail. Did you know that?
No.
Yes. So the sister trail is in Tasmania. It's a sister trail to the West Coast Trail from Vancouver Island. It's in Tasmania.
What do they call it? What do they call it?
If you just look at it, I don't know exactly what they call, but if you look up the sister trail of the West Coast Trail from Vancouver Island, it'll tell you. But yeah.
I may have walked on it and didn't even know that.
So then you need to go over to Vancouver Island and do the West Coast Trail. So be prepared to climb massive ladders going down like rock faces, and prepared to pull someone across to the on a gondola.
And to avoid a cougar.
There's a few. Yeah. Oh, and then also, I don't know if this man's still there, but there's a point where you have to hop in a boat to go across the other side. And I paid him $10, and he went and got me the freshest crab ever and boiled it up, and I munged on that before I went across the river. That was my very first unofficial hiking experience.
What an adventure.
And there was bears out there, so we had bear bags, and you had to put your toothpaste and stuff in there because bears love toothpaste, and then you have to hoik it up on a tree somewhere. And my friend said, yeah, I said, I'm not coming out. She goes, if I bang my saucepans, that means the bear's coming. I said, well, I'm not hopping out of my tent if you bang your pots and pans. Just smuggle that toothpaste somewhere where the bear can't smell it.
So funny.
So that's where that happened. And then for my travels then, basically, I didn't go away for a year or anything after that. I basically did holidays. So then I'd been to Japan a few times. And then I went and did a Europe trip. So I went to Germany, Prague, the Czech Republic, Berlin, and I went to Florence. I absolutely loved Florence. It was an amazing place. I'd love to go back to Italy and spend probably a good month just in Italy.
We did
a cooking class. Went and did a cooking class there. And, like, just going to the food markets and just getting all that stuff, like, it was just beautiful. Yeah. I'd like to go back there.
It is amazing. Yeah. We tell the story of driving from England to Italy. We went to a 2-month house sit in Italy from England, and we drove across, lots of countries to get there. But we had the coffee in France. We had a coffee, because they don't do coffee very well in France. And then we had a coffee just at a service station just across the border in Italy. Like, we were like an hour or two across the border. And it was the best coffee I've had in my entire life. And it was just at a service station. And I was like, for heaven's sake. And, of course, tomatoes, everything, food in Italy is pretty amazing.
just beautiful. But, like, that's when I got the love of gelato when I was in Florence. And I was just like, oh, this is amazing. And so I used to have 2 gelatos, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. I can do this. I can definitely do that. I can do that. So, and then I been to Bali a few times and went on a surfing trip there with one of my girlfriends after my marriage split up. And we used to only tackle the kind of the whitewash here because the waves are different here in WA compared to Bali. And then she goes, I've got booked in for a surfing school. And I'm looking at these breaks and I'm looking, she goes, we'll be fine, Kath. And I'm like, she's got rocks in her head. And I'm looking at these breaks. I'm like, we've never paddled out that far. Like, we've only splashed around. So we'll be fine. And I'm thinking, she's got confidence because I'm not sure about this. And then the only way you could get in, you had to time the wave that was breaking on the shore to go when it was the 5th wave. Otherwise, you get smashed on the shore, right, with coconuts and everything.
Oh, ow.
And so the coach would go. And so you get in there and you think, oh, okay, now, and then you paddle out. And that was like, I'm like, this is a lot of hard work on the arms. You've got to get out there to catch a wave. And I remember being out there and going, oh, these are large. And then I remember the coach just spun my board around. I said, oh, no. And he goes, no, you're going on this one. I thought I can either fall off or I can just stand up and ride this damn thing in. And it was the best experience, Michelle, ever. I'll never forget it. I'm like, oh, my God. I rode the whole thing in, and then I thought I had to paddle all the way back out again. And I did it for 5 days, and I was surfing these massive waves because they don't dump you.
It sounds amazing.
And it was mint. It was just fantastic. I still live that one day, or just that feeling, never ever go away. It's great. But then so with my running and stuff, so with my travels, that's where, and then my travels just kind of stopped after what happened to me. So then my next travel is going to be New Zealand next year to do the 21 at Tarawera with Shannon
with the group.
Jenny, and Kat. So when you talk about my running, so basically my running got cut short, very cut short, due to what has happened to me. So last year, we don't know where it's happened, but then I couldn't walk on my left foot, and I was like, oh, what's going on? I had balance issues again. So I went and saw the foot studio people. And she's like, I think we better send you for an x-ray. And that's where they discovered I had a fracture in my sesamoid, my big toe, with
this
a 3 millimetre.
Sorry, it's still feet. We are still talking about feet, and
I know,
even your injury is on your feet.
And so it's all related to foot. And so with a 3 millimetre separation. And we don't know, because I have limited feeling there. There's not a moment that I could go, oh, yep, I've landed wrongly and, oh, that hurts. Ow. It was just like, so we don't know how it occurred, because I've got ticklish feet. You can't tickle my right foot. You can do anything to my left foot. That's how they knew the deficit that I've got in my left side. And so they tried conservative treatment. But because we don't know when it happened, and anyway, in January I had to go back for a second lot of x-rays, and it hasn't healed. So my running days, I've had to come to done. They're over. And so when I did the Bogan Keg run, at Delirious, right? So they kept saying, Kath, you have to go for just a bit of a recce run, just to see if the foot will hold up. And I kept putting it off, because I'm like, I know what the outcome's going to be. So then I'm like, right, Bogan Keg run, stick a mullet on my head, have a few beers, and I'll go do it, because I know the outcome is not going to be what I want it to be. So I might as well make it a little bit fun. So when I'm like, did lap 1, I'm like, oh, what's hanging going up? And then lap 2, I'm like, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Like, that's the running day's over. So after my 3 laps, with a few beers under my belt and a mullet on my head, I was coming to terms with that's the end of it. Yeah. And so I've got some avenues where I can go to, which can support the foot, because it's made the foot drop come back in again. Whereas I was just going to say, how does it feel? Like when you're like, if you've not got a lot of feeling there, and you've got this nasty sort of... so I don't feel... So I sometimes get, from the cold, I sometimes now know what is bone pain, but my balance is affected the way that the weight is distributed in my whole foot.
Okay. And
the balance is... And so basically, like when you go to push off, I don't have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
And then it really feels it, because then it really doesn't feel right sometimes.
Yeah.
So I've got a list of shoes that I'm allowed to have, but they cost like $250 each. So I'll be that person who has one pair of good flip-flops, a person who's got one pair of good winter shoes and good, summer dressy up shoes. I'll just have those set of shoes that'll be worth $1,000 just for those shoes. And then need to look at some custom orthotics that will then help distribute the weight, and also it's about having a good rocker in my shoes to help with the foot drop. Yeah. And then so it's just about maintaining that, so then I can at least hike. So then I'm like, hiking doesn't do the same for me as what a good run does.
Yeah.
So then I've got to find something, maybe a winter sport where I can like just run for about an hour to get that energy, But that's where I've gone, okay, well, at least I can still enjoy the trail. So I can do the 21 and I can walk it with a couple of good mates. and still be out there and go, well, this is just the way it is, you know. My left side is like Kevin Hart and my right side is like The Rock. That's what it's like. It cut me in half. Right side's fantastic. Left side is shit. Not that Kevin Hart shit, but that's the way I do it, like muscle-wise. Cut me in half, yin and yang.
Before this raised its nasty little head, what were some of your favourite runs that you've done?
Well, I only got to do 2. So I got to do the light horse, 24 hours, and so I'd only ever run 10Ks. I had no watch on, no goal. I was loving it out there, just going, you know what? I'm actually on the other side of this, which I never thought I would be. Yeah. And then Marty and Kat Collane crewed me, and they're like, Kat, do you want to know how much you've done? Oh, yeah, might as well tell me. So by midnight, I'd done 33Ks. So I'm like, oh, shit. Wow. And then that's when the muscles decided we're turning on. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. And then I'm like, now I understand what these runners are that I also deal with when they're saying this is switched on. So it gave me a real reality of like, okay, this is what they're dealing with, you know. My feet never broke down. I'm like, this is the good service for me that mine didn't get one blister, not one.
Job. What?
And then I ended up finishing off doing 62.7 Ks.
That's crazy.
No watch, no goal, and then I was pretty stoked with that.
That is awesome. Stoked with that. Really good.
And then I did the 15K Yabaroo. That was a fun run with a couple of mates. Yeah. And then that's been the end of it. So, yeah.
What about your training? A while. Were there training things that you really... Sorry, Kat. Were there training things that you enjoyed, like training, getting out? No, you didn't enjoy it.
Went out. I was not disciplined in any way. I just went out because it helped me with what I went through, and I just enjoyed being on my feet. Just like and going, oh, there's rocks, put a head torch on, I'll go down that downhill, see how it goes. Made it. Got muddy, you know, and I wasn't ever on a regiment of I'm training for something. I knew like what I had to do.
Yeah.
But I think for me it was never going to be that I wanted to cross over the other side like you fellas and be doing these distances. Being on the other side, helping you guys get comfortable, get back on your feet and being that person. And then just doing my running or that outside stuff just because, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's some of the craziest things you've seen as the medic at Delirious?
Well, I've seen some like doozy hallucinations, right? Oh. And the doozy hallucinations. And I'm like, wow, these people are not on anything except being out there, sleep deprivation, maybe not eating or whatever. And like, you know, and like you just see people who have, you know, it's fascinating about the brain, how someone can see like beautiful leaves with like little pictures on them and someone can see going through the sugar canes that they are Freddy Krueger's hands and they're like Halloween pumpkins. Yeah. Right? And you're like, oh, that guy has like, he was like in a state. He goes, that was the worst night of my life. Worst night. He goes, I thought he was running away from the sugar canes at Unreasonable, the first Unreasonable. He thought they were Freddy Krueger hands. Like, what a terrible night to be in. And he goes, and then there was Halloween pumpkins, and they won't. And then the day came, and he goes, oh, they're bloody sugar canes. Like, his brain was wrecked, absolutely wrecked. And, you know, then, yeah, like, remember, like, just the hallucination. And, like, some of the feet, like, David Clark's feet, I'll never forget his feet. And I'm like, Clarky, is that like dirt? No, God, that's bruising under your feet. They were just black. And just... You know, and I remember Frank, you know, French Frank.
Yes.
Yeah, so Frank, I still remember that. It's so funny. And he came, and he won't mind me telling you this story. I remember him coming in, he's like, Kat, I've never ever got this far, like past treetops. What can you give me that will make me go fast? I said, what? I can't give you anything to make you go fast. He goes, surely. I said, no. And he goes, do you have any no-dos? I said, no, I don't. And I said, have you drank coffee? He goes, I've never had a coffee in my life. I said, you're about to turn 70, so there's no way that I'm going to be responsible for giving you a no-dose, even if I had one, right? And anyway, one of his runners or pacers, they had no dose, and I said, if you give him a no dose, only give him one, because this man's never had a coffee. He's turning 70 tomorrow. Well, Frank apparently popped a no dose, and he went the fastest he's ever gone, this man, and he made the furthest point. I remember coming into Denmark, and he was like, "Oh, Cat," and these guys are going, "That man was on one no dose."
Because
So,
he's quite
and he goes,
he's quite up for anyone who doesn't know Frank. He's quite a chatty, full of energy guy already, you know, for a 70-year-old.
He was like, "Woo!" He had his first coffee. He was turning 70, and he was walking quicker and like more straighter than he'd ever walked upright ever.
Oh
and
my
he was
gosh.
like, just went through. I remember he went through the next day station. Yep, gone out, and they're like, "What with Frank?" You know, he comes in here and he's left-sided, and so he made it to Denmark, and then he made a bit further, and then the no dose obviously wore off, and his boy's like, "No, I'm actually done." But he was just super excited. He goes, "Wow, that was fascinating to see how my body reacted." So I will always remember that time. Yeah, he goes, "I don't care I didn't finish." He goes, "I just got further than what I'd ever done, my own PB in the 200 miler with one no dose."
That's amazing. And this
And
is not
he made
medical
his 70th
advice.
birthday, so without cardiac problems.
That's right. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Well, Kat, we're actually running out of time because you've got a time limit, and we could do this for another hour and a half, but we can't because we're running out of time.
No.
Thank you for sharing so much. It's been awesome. As I said, I might need to get you back on so we can have the other half of things,
Yes.
because I feel like you've
Thank you for inviting me.
got 3 million stories that I want to share with everyone. And mostly, actually 3 million of your own, but you've also got another 3 million other people's stories that you've collected while you've been in Delirious as well.
A collection. I should make a collection book.
That's right, exactly. Before we go, I do have the pass the baton question to ask you in a minute. But before I do that, is there anything about running that we haven't shared that you would like to share with the people out there?
Oh,
This is my normal question.
is there anything about running that I haven't shared?
Yeah.
Is that my baton? Is that my baton question?
Nope, it is not.
This is not the baton question.
No, this is a general question.
Well, I'd say, like, you know, when I got introduced to trail running and stuff, like not having any headphones and stuff, not having a watch or anything like that, not knowing what my pace was or anything, to just at least do that sometimes. You know, yes, we all have training and stuff, but sometimes just leave all of that behind. Yes, take your phone for, you know, for emergency, but just go without and just have fun with it. Just have one of those days, even if you do decide to run 20 Ks, but don't actually know how far you've run. Just go until, like, to really feel your body and, like, let it communicate with you what you should do on that one day.
Yeah.
Just one day.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, just experience it, you know.
Very ZenRUN, that is, Kat.
Yes, it is. It's a spontaneous. Yeah, in the moment, like not plan, not go. I'm going to go out for a run, you know, that day.
Yeah.
Wake up, and if you feel like going out, just do it. Without timing, without pace, just enjoy it. Take your dog if you've got one. Find that trail. Find the sister trail in Tasmania, Michelle.
Yes, I need to do that. I shall.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got your this is your pass the baton question. It's from Sally Pimer, who was my last interview guest. And hers is, what makes you smile the most on your runs? So when you get to go out and do a little run, what makes you smile the most?
What makes me smile the most is, like, when I reach a certain point. So one of the places is like Whistlepipe Gully. When I reach a point and I turn around, I can see the full city.
Yep.
And all the birds that are out there. But then when I reach another point and I get to add a rock onto the pile of rocks that's already been built up there, and there's a different situation every time. Someone's either built like a campfire ring or like these rocks and stuff. And then sometimes occasionally I leave these like little fruits with legs on them in amongst with like little notes for someone else to come past on their trail run. You know,
that's so
strawberries
cool.
or little kiwi fruits and stuff. Yeah. One is still there after 3 years in the same spot. One is there. No one, either people have seen it, they've just left him there. But he's a strawberry, and like he's kind of like hidden and stuff, but he's still there on a trail in the same spot.
That's so
Just
cool.
give love to making someone else smile along the way. So I kind of like have fun with that.
I love
but
it.
Just
That's
like
beautiful.
I really love like listening to the birds and stuff, and just really being present for that moment that I'm there. Because it's short at the moment, but the moments that I am there, and it just gives me a big smile. Yeah.
And it all counts,
so I
Kat.
can breathe.
Like our life is literally full of moments. Like, so one moment is
it's
no
full of
more important
moments.
than the next. So being able to embrace that moment that's all that it's about. Like
me boiling a perfect soft-boiled egg last night was a perfect moment with me and my mum. Like it was just bliss.
I'm crap at that because I can't see inside that damn egg. Is it soft in there?
I cracked the top off it last night, and I said, right, Mum, you put the timer on because he still wasn't right, and I'm going to put him in the tongs. I'm going to hold him under like he's having craniotomy but not drowning. And then we got the perfect egg. He just needed an extra 30 seconds.
You had surgery on the egg.
And I put his head back on. So now we know that it's 3 minutes, 50 seconds. It gives you the perfect soft-boiled egg at boiling point.
And then you ate it.
And I've been so enjoyed it. See, I'm still beaming after that last night, that moment for the egg.
It's hilarious. There's so many things that go wrong there.
Many things.
So, Kat, we need your pass the baton question. Have you thought of one?
Okay, I have thought of one. My pass the baton question is, what shoes, if you had to, would you chop up if you needed to make it to the end of your race? You have to tape them, chop them up, cut them, toe box, whatever. Which pair would you do?
So that's like, would you do your really expensive pair, or would you if you knew you were going to do that, would you chuck the cheap pair on and chop
that's the thing you don't know. That is the thing you don't know when's going to happen. Like, what would it take for you to go, right, I'm chopping them up?
Yeah. And I've seen some pictures of that being done.
What would it take?
Guess what? It's another foot question.
About this whole thing, isn't there? Without me actually realising it. If you said, let's talk about feet, I'd go, oh, no, let's not.
You were like, no, it's not really my thing. It's just kind of something I do at Delirious for 1 week a year.
Darn socks, or my mum darned the socks, but, I still went and picked them up, didn't I?
Exactly. Yeah. Your injury's a foot-related thing as well. So
I know. Like, why can it be like it just keeps reminding me?
Yeah, that's right. Definitely
that I'm there to be a service for making people get to the finish line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Kat, I knew it would be a delight, and as I said, I should probably get you on for a part 2 at some point as well, because I know we've a lot we have missed out on today. But
there's many more.
I know. And so I do.
But I really appreciate that you asked me to come on here, and I've had the best morning. And look at the sunlight beaming through, like where you are. That
I have to keep moving. It keeps hitting me in the face. I can't see anything. Anyway,
I love the sunlight. Yeah.
It is. It's lovely. The sun is lovely. Well, Kat, thank you for joining us. It has been, as I said, a delight. You are an inspiration, not to mention an angel out there on the trail for all of us who have feet things going on. So, and other things. I know that you are an all body nurse, not just a foot nurse. So,
yeah, but that's what we are dealing with when we're dealing with that event. Feet.
There's a lot of feet things going on. That's true.
Yeah, a lot of feet issues going on.
I think actually I might even get you back on before Delirious this one coming as part of the series. I was just thinking about it then, because we could probably do a whole thing giving people some ideas about like some ideas, especially because there's feet are important, but there's also stomach stuff and couple of other things.
Yeah, there's stomach stuff and there's kidney stuff,
Yeah,
and
like
head
hydration and stuff.
So,
yeah, so I think we could cover all that. If you're happy, I might get you back on at some point.
Yeah, we'll do the head to toe session.
Yes.
Head to toe session.
Yes. To help people prepare so that they're like thinking about those things before the event, and maybe there's less work for you guys because they've thought about it a bit, and some of us will put some preparation work in. Not everyone. We mostly all know these things.
Only if you choose to do it.
That's right. Exactly. We only have to, but at least we'll know. Anyway, so that's the thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're happy to do that, I might grab another time from you in the next few months. And
absolutely. Love to.
You're a superstar. All right, don't jump off straight away. But again, massive thank you. What an inspiration and a lady full of courage that you are. I do feel very blessed that you're in my life. So thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the ZenRUN Podcast. I hope today's chat left you feeling just a little more inspired to move in your way and on your terms. If you've got a running story you'd love to share, please reach out. I'm always looking for real, relatable stories that help remind us we're not alone, whether it's a big goal, a quiet win, or simply why you keep showing up. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to share it. Plus, if you're curious about the ZenRUN Club, come take a look. It's a low-key space with guided runs, simple training plans, and monthly challenges to help keep your running fun, motivating, and totally stress-free. Until next time, keep running, keep breathing, and keep showing up for yourself.